Hi folks, Slick Sizes here. Now, this is going to be a look at the Wharncliffe knife. Not just the blade pattern, but the pattern as a whole. I'm going to do a little bit of history and show you some really nice knives as well. So if you like that sort of stuff, maybe give it a like. If you have anything to add or any comments to make, please make a comment down below. It does help the algorithm an awful lot. And if you don't already, please subscribe. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. Really nice to get over that hump before the end of the year. But we'll only do that if you subscribe. So thank you very much, and let's get on with it. Now, as I say, the Wharncliffe blade is pretty ubiquitous these days, and this here is an example of the Rough Rider work knife, which actually is one of the best pieces I think Rough Rider have ever done. Certainly the fit and finish and everything is brilliant, but there are lots of other sort of versions of it. This is a GEC. I don't have many GECs, but this one was a special from Mike's Knives, who are the only UK distributor of GEC knives, so I tend to hang on to it because of that. But even some very modern knives have a Wharncliffe derived blade. I wouldn't necessarily call it a Wharncliffe blade. It wouldn't be entirely accurate, partly because the Benchmade full immunity, by the way, the blade is slightly curved and it has this sort of corner in it here, so rather than being a curve from the top all the way down as you get in the Rough Rider there, this has a corner more like a sheep's foot, but it has quite a sharp point, which sort of differentiates it from the sheep's foot a little bit, but may not be entirely accurate to describe that as a Wharncliffe, but you can see the origins. What is now often most closely associated with the Wharncliffe blade, and I have to admit, until recently I thought this was the original Wharncliffe knife. It was only some work that Rasputin's Castle did. He did a bit of deep diving research, and he couldn't find a reference to it before just the early part of the 20th century, whereas the Wharncliffe blade dates from about 70 or 80 years earlier. So much as this is a very good example of a Wharncliffe blade, it probably isn't the original. In fact, it almost definitely isn't the original. And the reason that we've got this video today is pretty certainly either this knife or something very, very similar to it. This is made by Stephen Cocker using some old templates that he has accrued over the years, and using the aesthetics from a catalogue, which you can see here, and you can see there are a few varieties of it, but this one is clearly shown on the page. So what is it? First of all, it has the Wharncliffe blade, so it is a straight edge with a continuous curve from the ricasso all the way around to the point. Sometimes it rises a little from the ricasso and then comes back down to the point. Other times it's straighter, but it's of this type of shape. But what makes this the Wharncliffe knife in general is a bit more than that. It's usually a two-piece knife, sometimes a three-piece knife. In the catalogue page, I think there were some three-piece knives in there, but it's one or the other. And sometimes if it's a three-piece knife, it'll be a split back knife, That's to say, the main blade runs on both springs, and the two pen blades, or pen and a little sheepfoot's blade, run off separate springs, which means that, particularly in America, they're often referred to as split back whittlers or English whittlers, and I think they're terms that have sprung up in America, whereas originally it was just a Wharncliffe knife. That was the pattern. It has this quite distinct serpentine shape and a very distinct bolster at the main blade. This end is fairly sort of standard, almost symmetrical bolster, whereas up here it's really quite asymmetric, with this curve that comes all the way from the belly of the handle here, all the way up and curves to almost a hard corner at the top there. And that is very distinctive of this pattern. So if you get a Case Seahorn Whittler and you have a look at it, this is where it comes from. This is the origin of that pattern. Case, as ever, have simply taken the sort of pattern, given it their own name. I don't know if they've trademarked Seahorse Whittler, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had, and that's what these knives are often known as, but it's really the original Wharncliffe. Now, a number of people have made these over the years, probably most notably Taylor's Eyewitness in Sheffield. I'm talking about Sheffield makers, obviously. They have made this knife as a staple for a long, long time. So this one is Desert Ironwood as well as the Stephen Cocker one. The one thing you will notice with the Taylor's ones is they're just a little bit smaller. Not a huge amount, but when you put the two together, it's much clearer. These suddenly look small when on their own they seem perfectly reasonable. One of the Taylor's ones I EDC regularly. I took it out of my little pouch to film it here today. This one is in ram's horn, and I find it good for most things. There are very few occasions where I need to get something bigger out. It's not a great apple knife, because the blade could do with being a little bit longer, but it certainly works and certainly can do the job because it is nice and thin and slicey. I've got a couple of others as well. I've got one in stag and one in oxhorn. But the other particularly special one I have is in mother of pearl. This was a gift from one of my subscribers, and quite possibly the most generous gift any subscriber's ever given me. And he didn't want anything in return. Literally a sticker. So I sent him some stickers, but that it kind of just blew me away, because these are expensive knives. The sort of normal ones, the Desert Ironwood and the horn versions and so forth, start at a little over £200 retail. Mother of pearl ones can creep over 300 for the ones with the work back. I don't know what he paid for this one. Certainly not going to ask. I'm just blown away to have it. It's a beautiful thing. But I also have another one by Stephen Cocker, which is also in mother of pearl. Now, this was a gift to me from my brother for my Christmas 2023. Unfortunately, I didn't get it until I think it was June or July, simply because these things are made to order, and if you order something from Stephen, it can take a while. That's because in the daytime he's busy making knives like this for Eggington Brothers. Now, this is the original Star and Maltese Cross trademark, which is Joseph Rogers' trademark. And it was Joseph Rogers that originally came up with the Wharncliffe blade. A guy called James Wortley, who was ennobled in 1826 as Lord Wharncliffe. Legend has it he came up with this pattern. Now, supposedly, it was between him and his gamekeeper, I think, which probably means his gamekeeper came up with it, but hey ho. Then, after a dinner one night, apparently he drew this blade, or this knife, for Rogers, and Rogers went ahead and made it, and it became a great success. It was a very popular pattern, and it has all the characteristics that are here. And this was about 1831, 32, somewhere around then, I believe. You see it commonly in catalogues by the 1850s, so it gives you an idea of when it actually came about, and obviously rather a long time, 70 years before Case were around and the Seahorse Whittler became the name for it. But, that's common. A knife develops its own life and history, and on it goes. So anyway, this is mine for Christmas. This one here, the Desert Ironwood one, is not mine. It's simply, I'm holding it in trust, or at least I was. By the time you see this video, it will have gone to its final recipient, who is my nephew, my brother's son, Darcy. And this is his birthday present, which is today, the 11th of November. Or that's when you'll be seeing this video. And so happy birthday, Darcy. This is a lovely little knife. It is in desert ironwood, nickel silver bolsters, brass liners. You can see at the back there. And I don't know whether the blade's stainless steel or O1 tool steel. I don't know. It's the answer to that, but it's a beautiful, beautiful knife. It's lovely to carry. It is of a reasonable size that can be carried in the UK without any question. We have all sorts of problems about when you measure the cutting edge or the hole of the knife blade or whatever, but this doesn't matter. Your cutting edge is just shy of 2 inches, 1 3/4 maybe, and the total length of the blade is about 2 1/4 inches. So you're never going to have any problem. Obviously, there's also a secondary blade, pen blade, which is under 2 inches, sort of 1 3/4 inches, with a cutting edge of 1 1/2 inches. So that's really never going to be a problem. There are places in the UK where you can't carry a knife at all. Schools, hospitals, places like that. But that being said, I took this one into the hospital to show my occupational therapist because she wanted to see it. So I brought it in, and I certainly didn't get, nobody pounced on me. If I had turned up with, a modern sort of folder like this Hogue Decker, I think I might have had more of a problem. But when I was in hospital for a long time last year, I didn't have any problem with having a penknife with me. Anyway, I think that's probably all I have to say about this. Oh, just one thing actually. If the price of these knives really puts you off, but you like the pattern, then have a look at this. This is the Queen cutlery, but it's the Chinese-made Queen cutlery, Wharncliffe, and it is the same pattern. It has a slightly longer, pointier blade, almost the same handle. The blade is still fine for UK carry. It's near the limit, but it's still cutting edge of under 2.5 inches, an overall blade length of 2 5/8, something like that. So it's perfectly UK legal. Has only the one blade, it doesn't have the pen blade. How much of a disadvantage that is, I don't really know. It's got saw cut bone handles, and it also has, unusually, a pin for a lanyard. Now, this knife can be had for 1/10 of the cost of one of the tailor's ones, and maybe a quarter or better than the cost of a Stephen Cocker one. But the Stephen Cocker ones are probably the most authentic, and very shortly they will be the basis for a new knife under the Rogers name, with the star and the Maltese cross on it, which is taking it back to its origins. Okay, this is obviously now made by the Eggington Group, which owns the trademark, owns the IXL trademark as well, the Worston one. But it will be really nice to see a knife like this, but with the Rogers star and Maltese cross on it again. And I look forward to seeing that, and I hope we'll be able to get one on the channel here, one way or another, to review and show you. Anyway, that's enough of this for now. Happy birthday again to Darcy. Thank you again to David, my brother, for having these knives made, and thank you to Stephen for making them. Right, if you like the stuff, remember to give it a thumbs up, remember to comment, and if you're not already, please subscribe. See you again next time. Bye.